Microsoft warns that your MCP could get poisoned through the tool description.
Which is coming from a direction none of us ever saw coming.
All on this episode of CVE of the Week. IT SPARC Cast CVE of the Week is where we pick a common vulnerability exposure entry that you need to know about and how to mitigate ASAP. And while this one isn't actually CVE, it is some security news that you need to know about and protect yourself. Lou, what do we got?
Sure. So when we saw the MCP model context protocol first come down, John and I were very agog at how are people going to hack this? Because it is a crucial interface for agents into your AI system. So Microsoft researchers demonstrated a new MCP tool poisoning attack that can trick AI agents into leaking sensitive data using only malicious tool description. No software vulnerability is required. So what's really interesting about this is the equivalent of the comments in your code being used to violate your system. So the attack hides instructions inside an MCP tool's description metadata. So this is just supposed to tell you what this thing is. What is this agent? What is it trying to do? And it has actually figured out a way to get it to basically, from what I can see, John, cause the model to hallucinate and give you some information. So which AI agents read, but human users typically never see. So I want to call out, this came from the Hacker News. So the attacker can update a trusted third-party MCP tool. So you don't even have to make the MCP tool. You just go in, text edit the descriptor, and then so the visible name stays the same while the hidden description instructs the agent, for example, collect invoices, credentials, other confidential files, send them to the attacker. Because many MCP clients automatically refresh tool descriptions, the malicious instructions can become active without additional user approval. So this turns out to be a fungible field that we are not watching as much. So Microsoft emphasizes this is an indirect prompt injection problem rather than a flaw in MCP itself, right? The agent is faithfully following instructions from what it believes is a trusted tool. So how are you going to mitigate this thing, right? Treat tool metadata as untrusted input. Now, this follows the theme that John and I have been talking about for a while, well over a year. Treat things as untrusted. Require reapproval when tool descriptions change. Apply least privilege permissions to MCP tools. That's another great one. Isolate sensitive tools from general purpose ones. Monitor and audit tool updates. John, this is a lot. What do you think about this? I mean, first we've seen with MCP, I think.
Yeah, so the first thing I thought of when I heard about this was this is a prompt injection attack. And it's the same as sending an email with white text that the human can't read, white on white, that tells the whatever's filtering it, the spam filter or whatever AI tools might be looking at your email to do something. And this is the same type of thing. And so I'm glad that Microsoft has highlighted this. I think that this is an area that all of the models makers out there, so OpenAI and Anthropic and everybody else, need to be really, really thinking about the various ways, in the ways we haven't even thought of yet, for prompt injections, and just come up with almost like their own virus scanner. So they need a prompt injection scanner and start using some of that intelligence to say, should I actually do this? Or should I ask a human if there's something I should be doing here? I think that's where we need to go with this. It's a really interesting and novel way to do this, and it makes a lot of sense once you think about it. It's one of those no duh kind of moments that, well, how can we not have thought of this? But just because we had, and now we have, and it's just the next one. There's going to be another one and another one.
And the thing is, this is how we're going to learn what the protection for MCP has to be and how the contextual engine will run. This is far more than a simple stateful firewall. You're going to have to parse the actual function of the agent and make sure it's not trying to do something that will harm your organization. whole new level of what I would call firewall / context protection.
And
And
I think it also highlights that we're not ready for AI just to be completely autonomous and take over all of our day-to-day tasks. If this agent happens to be attached to your bank account, that prompt could really do some damage. If it's even if it's just something simple like having access to your disk system could effectively be like a virus and wipe your disk or take those files and upload them to somebody else. Could maybe hit your crypto wallet, whatever it might be. Implement a stroke monitor so that it knows what your passwords are. All of those types of things are all possible through this type of tool, these agents, and a lot of them are using MCP. So it's really something to think about.
yeah, I mean, essentially, as enterprises are rapidly adopting AI agents and MCP, and we're going to go that way, right?
Yep,
2026 is the year of the agent. It's going to continue to accelerate. The tool metadata itself has become part of the attack surface, right? So the little bits you would traditionally think are no big deal, they're turning out to be a big deal because the attack can bypass traditional security controls. So every individual tool call appears legitimate. Malicious behavior originates from the tool's hidden instructions rather than a software bug. It's a trust issue, right? And
it
we're
is.
going to have to fix that trust.
Yep.
It's all about trust right now. So keep an eye on this, all right?
Yep. And before we wrap up today's episode, I'd like to share some feedback from one of our listeners. Orlando reached out to me on X and he said, my Unify system updated while I was asleep, and I sleep better knowing that's the case. So he's referring to last week's episode where we mentioned that there were multiple level 10 CVSS vulnerabilities in Unify, but they were patched. And that in our case, we have our Unify system set up to auto update, which is the default. And we had then a discussion around applying patches faster, not waiting for Tuesdays, just having them set up automatically, and eventually getting to a continuous patching system that doesn't take your system down. That's where everybody needs to get to. So I appreciate Lando's comment that he said that his system updated automatically and just kind of corroborated what we were talking about. But that is going to cover this episode. We could do this podcast without listeners like you. We would love to hear what you think. What do you think about this MCP vulnerability? Are you using agents in a way that you could be vulnerable here? And what are you doing to mitigate that? Have you held off on deploying agents because of something like this that you're worried about security or other issues? Let us know. Send email to feedback@itsparkcast.com. Hit us up on X @itsparkcast. If you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below. We read every comment, every bit of feedback that we get. We respond to most. And if it's particularly interesting or insightful, we will read it out on the broadcast. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. That way you will never miss an episode. And from the world of enterprise IT and security, take care.
Stay secure out there and parse your metadata.